Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, directed by John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, is another big screen adaptation of the popular interactive game. Now, the last time a D&D movie played in the cinema was a less than stellar 2000 feature starring Justin Whalin and Jeremy Irons, which made little of an impression, and I mean very little. It certainly didn't meet the expectations of critics or audiences, let alone gamers, like at all. The new film, starring Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez as Edgin and Holga, hapless thieves on a desperate journey, also features Justice Smith, Sophia Lillis, Rege-Jean Page, and Hugh Grant, who join the two in this light-hearted fantasy action adventure. Edgin and Holga are partners in crime. Once upon a time, they were part of a lively group of thieves who worked together, but the two found out that their old pal Forge had betrayed them in a big way. The two make for a daring prison escape and attempt to go after Edgin's daughter, Kira, played by Chloe Coleman, whom Forge has convinced that her father abandoned her for treasures. Instead of just watching over the girl, this dude conned his way into power, yet only for his own greedy intent. In hopes of taking sweet revenge on the villain, Edgin convinces Simon, Doric, and Zink, all characters with traits familiar to D&D players, to ride out and rescue Kira, plus take all the riches they can from the crooked Forge while fighting off assorted monsters and beasties. Now, my experience with D&D is quite limited, but it's impossible not to go into this film wondering how well the filmmakers capture the magic of it. While they continually say imagination can be far more vivid than watching a movie about playing a cool game, the latest feature manages to satisfactorily bring the game's energy to cinematic life, and for just over a 2-hour flick, it stays within its welcome. The pacing and the energy run throughout, making for an engaging watch. Even still though, the editing in some sequence didn't quite work for me. I seem to remember a moment or two where I was wondering what the hell just happened in terms of cuts. It was occasionally messy, but that can sometimes work regarding a game of this sort. The best part of this adaptation is the cast of Merry Thieves. Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez are delightful together. Every single scene with these two brings on the fun. Pine's goofy leading man, who constantly relies on the far more capable Rodriguez, works in spades. It certainly helps that Miss Rodriguez is so utterly convincing when kicking these big guys and monsters' asses. Her fight sequences are terrific, and Mr. Pine's comic relief during them is also a blast. These two are so good, I'd love to see another film on their chemistry alone. In addition to Pine and Rodriguez, the remaining Dungeons and Dragons cast members are incredibly engaging. Hugh Grant really should play more villains like this, especially after his brilliant work in Paddington 2 and of course, this film.
I lost everything that ever mattered to me, and if we quit now, that's for nothing.
I don't want to see you die, which is why I'm going to leave the room.
The actor is charismatic in this type of role. Grant portrays the very definition of a smooth criminal with a little smug humor. I liked him a lot in this. In addition, the trio of talent that joins Edgin and Holga are all delightful. Rege-Jean Page, god damn is this guy charismatic. Justice Smith and Sophia Lillis all round out this really terrific cast. And they deal with each other and the fantastical world they're in a beautiful way. I really liked watching all of these guys. The magical element of D&D is all here too. The creatures on screen all represent the magic beasts that players worldwide should be very familiar with. It also helps that the effects are impressive enough, especially considering the humorous element. It's hard to bring this kind of humor into a period adventure like this without risking being schlocky or overtly silly. Yet, both Daley and Goldstein seem to understand the nature of Dungeons and Dragons. The fantasy and the comedic and the adventurous elements are all impressive enough to hope this film may lead to a refreshing new franchise. I'd be down for it.
I'm thinking there are probably sharper stairs somewhere else.
Dungeons and Dragons is far more fun than I'd anticipated. And while it may not be perfect, the excellent cast and the charming script make it one of the most cheerful early surprises of 2023. It's funny, adventurous, entertaining, some cool monsters, and does a good enough job of creating a world worthy of revisiting in the sequel. I wonder if those who make D&D a massive part of their lives will respond as well as I did, or even better. Watching Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, and the rest of this cast made this a pleasant movie-going experience. It's kind of flick, you grab a popcorn, a soda, and just forget about your troubles and watch a fun fantasy-driven action flick with a lot of humor and a lot of sweetness. I really enjoyed this. It's a fun time, and I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. If you like this and you want to hear more, check out JoBlo.com and all our YouTube channels for reviews, news, original content, and much more. Thanks for listening, and get ready to play.